RAZA here for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. With me, all the way from the notorious Brooklyn, United States of America, Sarah Fina. Sarah, how are we doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. It's been a minute.
It has definitely. It's been a while, but I'm still here, still breathing.
Before we go into any detail, any questions about boxing, but obviously the last couple of months, the whole world has been living this pandemic and this coronavirus kind of. What was your reaction when it started, and are you surprised how serious it's got, especially in America, as it's the worst country in the whole world?
I think everybody was surprised. It shocked everybody. It threw everybody. Pulled the rug from everybody. And here, I mean, I'm in the epicenter in the United States at one point. Now we're good, but New York City was terrible. I know like 10 people that had it and like 5 of them that died, so it's like, it's a really scary time, because it doesn't just affect the elderly, it affects everybody. You never know. One of the people that passed was like 33, so you never know.
Do you think like the general people took it serious here in the UK at the very, very beginning? Everyone was rushing to the supermarkets,
Same
clearing
here,
the
yeah.
shelves.
Yeah,
Toilet tissue
same
was
here.
the most in-demand item. I don't know what the in-demand item was.
Yeah, like, I mean, toilet paper out of
Yeah.
everything you could get, right? Like, it to me, that was like the funniest thing, like, really, toilet paper? But
I still haven't got my head around it though. Why
yeah,
toilet paper?
I haven't either. But people panicked and ran out and got whatever they could. And when they realized that not everybody's gonna die, and it's like, okay, we're still surviving. So it kind of calmed down. Still can't get Lysol. Like, still can't like buy this, can't like, you could buy it's like $15 like on a street corner or something. Yeah, people are crazy.
How you kind of been keeping yourself kind of busy, engaged? I see that you're doing a lot of artwork. I didn't know that you were an unbelievable artist. I've seen
I'm
some of
sorry, the
your.
dogs are like going nuts. Can you hear?
Yes,
Can you
okay.
hear me, or do you hear more
I
of the
can hear, I
dogs?
can hear you clearly. Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good. What were we saying now?
How you kind of kept yourself busy over the last couple of months? I know you're involved with some fighters, but I know you've been keeping busy with your artwork. I didn't realize you were such an amazing
Yeah.
artist as well.
I've been doing the artwork, and for me, coronavirus was just the tip of the iceberg for me, because my ex boss went to prison for wire fraud, who was Big Baby's promoter, and then he left me with nothing. He said, I need you to run the company, and for 6 months while he was gone, and he left me with nothing. So I just was like, okay, now what do I'm doing? And what am I gonna do? So I just started like really trying to hustle, and like I was like, oh, let me just bartend somewhere or something, like, until I figure it out. And as soon as I think about doing that, boom, coronavirus, and all the bars are closed. And I'm like, okay, so now what do I do? So it kind of forces us to be creative and use whatever our gifts are, right? So it's like, well, I'm artistic, and I can paint a little bit. So I just started painting, and the response was great. Yeah, I never thought that in the middle of a pandemic that people would just have money to buy art, out of everything, like necessities, right? And like, everybody's losing their job, and I'm like, there's no way people are gonna buy art right now. Shocked the hell out of me.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was really cool, and I'm definitely blessed, for sure.
Is that something you learned or you were gifted with when you were young?
My mom was an artist, so she taught me a lot when I was a kid, but I never really took it like serious as a real like occupation. And then, when your back is up against the wall, I guess you kind of just, you got to make things happen, right?
Absolutely.
So I just went hard with it.
So I want to jump straight into it. I think the last time we spoke face to face was when you were actually in London for the press conference for Big Baby and Anti Joshua. You were super excited for the fight. I know you was. You was vouching for your guy. You were up there on the top table as well. Just going back to that moment, were you gutted with what happened with Big Baby failing drug
Oh,
tests?
yeah, no question. There's no question. You know, that was my Super Bowl. You know, I've worked in this game like on the, you know, business side for like 15 years. And I was at that pivotal moment where everything I worked for finally was at a head. You know, I was like, damn, I finally like got this major fight. Like who like the heavyweight champion of the world, Madison Square Garden, like that is like the epitome of boxing, right? Like everybody wants to be a part of that fight. The heavyweight championship of the world is like the most prestigious title in sports, not just boxing, right? So I was just like completely excited. And then when he tested positive, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. And, you know, I think I got a lot of, you know, hate because, you know, I was obviously protecting him and supporting him. And I wasn't making excuses. You know, it was more of the fact that I wanted him to be treated the same as everyone else that tested positive. You know, I probably shouldn't have pulled that card, but you know, it was what it was. And I'm very passionate about my fighters, and I'm very loyal. I don't just deal with them on fight day. I make sure their life is in order when they're not fighting. You know, like when coronavirus hit, I'm signing them up for unemployment. I'm getting them small business loans. I'm making sure that they're good throughout life. So like that's just loyalty, you know, when I stood by him through that. And that's just the type of person that I am, you know. But this time around, obviously, it's there's no excuse for it. And he like I no longer work for his promoter, so it's not really my business now. But yeah, there's no excuse at this point.
When it happened after the Joshua, during the Joshua build-up, did you have those open conversations with him about what happened, what his thoughts were?
Yeah, yeah, he lied to me. You know, he obviously lied to me. He said he was getting shots for his elbow and, you know, like all this bullshit. And then it's like two other sepsises came and, you know, he just kind of clammed up about it, you know, and we didn't really have a talk. Like it was just, there was nothing really to say at that point. You know, you lied. Um, and that's that, you know, and then he just kind of went off the radar. You know, he just was like very to himself and in his own world.
So him signing with Top Rank and Bob Arrow recently, did that catch you so out of surprise that he's now signed with another major promoter?
No, I mean, I knew what Greg and Dimitri were planning on doing, because they didn't have a platform. You know, they didn't have the ability to you know, put him on ESPN. You know, Top Rank had that deal. You know, obviously Matchroom wasn't going to work with him. You know, so there was either the Zone, PBC, or ESPN. And ESPN was, you know, it has more viewership. So that just made the most sense, you know, for them to go that route. And you have Tyson Fury there. So he would have the opportunity to fight Tyson Fury. So it was very strategic and it made sense.
So 2 days ago, when the news broke that he's failed another drugs test, what was your kind of instant reaction?
I laughed. I laughed honestly, because you know, I was done really dirty by my ex-boss, you know, how he did me. And I just, you know, karma is something else, man. Like I don't have to do anything. Life will take care of you. You know, like whatever you know, you do shitty things to people, it comes right back around, you know. And also, you know, I feel bad for Jarrell. You know what I mean? I feel bad for him because obviously he's lacking confidence. Um, and I think it comes to the point where there's a mental health issue there. And I'm not saying that to be funny. It's here you are, you first time you threw away $10 million. And probably would have won the fight because Joshua wasn't in his, best state. And so really threw away probably close to $30 million, right? So then the second time around, you have a $750,000 minimums. You got this big advance from Jay Prince. You got this big advance from Top Rank that you have to pay back to Jay Prince. Now, who wants to fuck over Jay Prince? Nobody, right? But yet and still, you still throw it away. That's a mental health issue. That's not normal behavior. Life gives you a second chance and you still blow it. That's a choice at this point. You know what I mean? So he's either an addict, like an alcoholic, or he just does not have the he just doesn't believe he could fight on his own without it. But why? Like what like it's just so many questions. It's so many questions because I don't think he's that stupid. You know what I mean? I don't think he really believes that he could beat the test. I think that he just knows he can't fight without the drugs. So he's like, well, maybe there's a chance that it doesn't come up positive. Maybe there's a chance because he might believe that everybody else is on it, right? Or somebody's in his ear and said, hey, this one won't show up. And you got to think, who's around this guy? Boxing, yes, it's an individual sport when you're in that ring, but outside of the ring, it's a team sport. Like you've got everybody around you. Who is giving this shit to him and who's around him, like telling him it's okay? Because he's getting it from somewhere, right? It just doesn't pop up out of thin air. He's getting it from somewhere. So it's just, I just don't know, I don't know.
He was, the unfortunate thing about our sport of boxing that we love is there isn't really one governing body that everyone adheres to and listens to. Jarrell was fortunate he wasn't licensed at the time during the Joshua build-up, where he didn't really serve punishment. Now, being a second offense, do you feel like the governing bodies, the states have to come together and say, listen, guys, it's not on, and does he deserve a lifetime ban now?
I believe so. I believe so. Because it's clear he can't fight without it. And it's just disrespectful to the sport at this point. Here you're given another chance, and you really like, you're telling the sport of boxing, fuck you, I'm still gonna do what I do. You know what I mean? So now at this point, it's just like, yeah, like you just gotta go, and yeah, he definitely doesn't deserve to be in the ring.
A lot of promoters and fighters have voiced their anger on Twitter.
And and it's like, he's a heavyweight. Like, you could kill somebody. You can kill somebody at any weight. You can kill. And it blows my mind because one of his friends was Patrick Day, who passed away not too long ago. So it's like really difficult for me to like comprehend, like why you would do that. Why you would do it knowing like he could die. Like one of his other friends is Zab Judah. Zab almost died.
Mm.
And I don't know if it was true or not, but they said that the guy that Zab fought was juicing. So I don't know if it ever came back 100%. I didn't really dig into it, but like I know that's what Zab and them were claiming. But it's just, this isn't the sport. It's never good in any sport, right? But especially this one, especially this one, it's just shouldn't be tolerated.
Do you expect, or do you think we'll hear from Jarrell or some sort of statement or an apology of some sort?
I don't know. He deleted his Instagram, and I'm scared for him. Truth to you, I'm scared for him. Like, I'm not because I feel like somebody's gonna do something to him, just because how is he dealing with himself? You know, because like I said, this, for me, I believe this is mental health. Like, and that's a really, really big thing. I don't know about over there, but over here, I feel, and from what I've spoken to a lot of my friends, is that it's kind of like a stigma in the African American community to seek help, right? Like it's like you're supposed to be strong, and like seeking help and talking to a therapist seems weak, you know, or it's just wasn't available, you know, to people that don't have health care or whatever, you know. And we got to get to the root of the problem. Like, why is he doing this? You know, and I think that fighters should really, like, everybody should have access to health care as far as mental health goes. But we got to like really tell our fighters it's okay to not be okay. You know what I mean? And I think that that's why we see a lot of fighters like that just kind of lose it, or they beat their wives, or they do this because it's like always like this macho thing, right? But they feel like if they talk about their problems, they're a bitch or whatever, you know. And you know, it shouldn't be that way. So I really feel like for Jarrell, it's a mental thing. It's all mental, you know. And he needs to get to the root of that.
So you mentioned you've been in the industry 15 plus years now. Do you see a way forward where governing bodies, promoters, TV networks, everybody can come together and say, listen, we all need to, if we're not going to unite on other things, on belts, on fights, etc., we all need to unite on PEDs in boxing, because as we know, it's commonly used around the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the problem right now. That's why it's just able to get away with things here and not over here, and like nobody's on the same page. You know, even in the United States, like, right, like we have, every state has its own commission, separate tests. Like one, you know, you can go fight in North Carolina and have hepatitis or whatever. You know what I mean? Like the rules are so different in every state with the medicals. So it becomes really difficult, you know. And fighters like that are fighting on, you know, a schedule. They got to redo the medicals over and over and over again if they fight in a different state, you know. So but yeah, everybody needs to be on the same page, because it's clearly not working. It's not working, and we have to protect these guys. You know, this is their life. You know.
So on some more positive note, over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of female fighters coming through. You know,
You broke up a little bit.
so over the last
You broke up a little bit. I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of female fighters coming through. Calista Shields, Katie Taylor. It's really becoming a scene of its own now. It's not like the ladies can go now and headline their own shows now, and that's great for boxing and for women as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a beautiful thing, you know, because I saw how it transpired in UFC, and the girls always like kind of like they're like the stars of the show, because it's just they fight with so much passion. So I think it's kind of trickled into boxing now too, where as you know, now I feel like just like with everything else, things evolve and the fighters get better, and the girls are better than they were back in the days of Christy Martin and Layla, right? Like these girls can really scrap. Like, you know,
they'll probably beat some of the guys up.
Yeah, like Amanda Serrano is like insane. You know, she could really, really fight. You know, Katie Taylor, you know, all these girls, they're just like, it's crazy. It's crazy to see.
It's also important to have women on higher positions in boxing as managers, maybe even promoters. It's important that evolves as well in the near future.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to managing, I don't think there's any other manager than a woman, you know, because I'm going to take care of your daily life. You know, like you can call me and I'm going to have that motherly, like, I'm going to take care of you. All right, let's figure it out. Whereas a man is kind of like, suck it up, you know? But, but like, you know, I feel like it's my responsibility, you know, like even when after Greg went to prison, um, you know, I'm really close with the Hunters, Michael and Keith. And, you know, Keith had a big fight coming up on Showtime or Showbox. And I still went, even though I wasn't getting paid, I still went because Keith wanted me there. And if I wasn't there, nobody would take care of him. You know, so I flew to Vegas. We had, you know, we did fight week. He won, and it was great. You know, but I didn't get paid for that. But I went because I'm like, I dedicated myself to him. You know, so I'm not just gonna jump ship just because shit is, you know, bad over here. Like I still gotta make sure he's good because I have like a genuine love for the guy. You know. So I mean, I feel like with women, we're gonna like do things like that, whereas a guy's just gonna look at it as like strictly business, right? It's all about the dollar, and you know, who gives a shit? He's not my fighter anymore. Fuck him, you know, like, you know, like I feel like with women, we were more nurturing in that sense.
So, and finally, I want to ask you. I know you've got a fantastic and great close relationship with Devin Haney, who's going to be a huge star in the near future. You call him you're his. Well, he's your nephew. I always see
Yeah,
that.
I call him my nephew. Yeah, because you know, like I've seen him grow up since a little kid, and you know, I used to pick him up from school and take him to the gym, and he used to hang out with my daughter and lock her in the garage, and like you know, I saw them as real like little kids. So it was really like it's really great to see him so focused and like achieving everything that we used to talk about when he was 11, you know, and so it, you know, I'm really happy for him, and I know that he's the future. Like, you know, he hasn't proven himself fully yet, but I do believe that he's the future because I know how dedicated he is, and I know the stock he comes from. You know, his father, you know, is definitely his backbone, and he's like supported him from day one. And another thing about Dev is that he grew up with money, so like this doesn't shock him, like this is no shock to the system, you know, like like he never was broke, he never wanted for anything. So him getting all these, being on these fancy cars, like he was riding around at 8 years old in the Phantom, you know. So it's like no big deal. So I don't feel like that's gonna throw him off and he's gonna go crazy or party and do this and do that. Like he's been in that life.
We've seen obviously Floyd Mayweather spend quite a lot of time with him as well. I think in Miami, in Vegas, on the pads.
Yeah, yeah,
I saw a quote
absolutely.
where Floyd said, in a laughing way, "You know, I've got a lot to teach you."
Yeah, I mean, listen, Floyd recognizes greatness. You know, Dev and Floyd have known each other since Dev was a little kid, you know, so he's seen him get better and better, and he recognizes that Devin is really, like, I feel like Devin is going to be the closest thing to Floyd. His, like, the way he trains, like, he's an addict for the gym. You know, he stays in the gym, like, I never saw, until I saw Floyd train, I never saw anything like that. Like I remember one time we left a club in Vegas, and I think Zab was there. This was like years ago. And Floyd like left the club right at 4 in the morning with Timberland boots on and went running. Like, and didn't have a sip of alcohol. You know, Devin doesn't drink at all, doesn't do drugs. Like he's like the closest thing to Floyd in that aspect.
And he's in a very, very healthy division as well. To see how great he can
Yeah,
be.
it's a great division. Yeah, absolutely. So like it's gonna be exciting to see like how he, you know, makes his way.
At 135, Teofimo, Lomachenko, potential
Yeah,
fight with Javante Davis down the line as well,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure he'll move up because he's not a small guy, you know. So I'm sure he'll move up. Who knows, maybe in the future, Terrence Crawford and all those guys up there, you know, you never know. Devin could make that way easy.
Well, we saw him a couple of months ago. I think he called out Adrian Broner as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it'd still be an interesting fight. I'd still like to see it, you know?
But Adrian has his own issues at the moment.
Yeah, when doesn't he? When doesn't he have a issue?
Sarah, thank you for giving me a few moments of your time. How's the weather in Brooklyn, by the way?
Oh man, it's great. I think today we're like 80 degrees, sunny,
Oh, nice. It's
beautiful. I
been
think it's gonna rain
cold,
tomorrow, but
cold, windy, and rainy here in London today.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You get that as well at times as well. Serafina, it's been an absolute pleasure.
My
Wish you
pleasure.
nothing
Thank you for
but the
having me.
best. Stay well, stay healthy yourself and your daughter.
Hopefully I can regain some UK fans and they can understand where I'm coming from.
Of course, 100%. Serafina
Yes,
for IFL TV, thank you very much.
my pleasure. Take care.
Thank you.